So my name is Christine McLeod, and I'm an advisor with Enterprise Strategies. So Christine is Christine, and McLeod, MC, uppercase E-L-E-O-D.
So one of the things I've been asking everybody is, how would you define or put together this nugget that we're calling Sales 2.0? What the heck is Sales 2.0?
Well, I think one of the things when I think about Sales 2.0, which is really interesting, so let me just start again. I think for me it's I'm just thinking without being filmed, I'm just wondering if it's more, should I be talking more Sales 2.0 or Social Business 2.0? Do you want to know more Sales 2.0? Is that the clip?
Well, you can take it, start with Sales 2.0 and then say, but the thing I'm really looking at is how social is a part of that. And
okay.
Social.
Sounds good. When I think of Sales 2.0, what I think about is the relationship that the customer wants to have with our business is changing. How they want to interact with us is different. The speed at which they want to interact, how they want to gain access to our brand, our knowledge, our products. We just heard earlier today that by the time people maybe even touch a salesperson, they're already 60% into their buying decision. And so that's fundamentally changing. And so when I think of Sales 2.0, I think about how are we as sales organizations, as sales teams, as business leaders, as team leaders managing sales teams, how are we becoming different and more ready to meet the customer in the way, this new method that they're looking to connect with us.
Great. And so in your work, you're doing a lot with social, and so how is that a part of this new way of meeting the customer where they are?
I think what's new about this idea about social, the main key thing is it's not about us doing more social. It's not about the platforms or the technologies. We're shifting to this place where we are becoming more social. We're becoming more social in business, in education, in the workplace, in all of these different things. And so with that comes a whole series of new behaviors that we haven't seen before. So it's not about the tools, it's about how are we becoming different in this new business environment.
Nice. And what are some of the opportunities that you see? How can businesses, I'm sure there's some out there that are like, oh God, now they want me to tweet 6 times a day, or, what's the real opportunity here for enterprises to look at Sales 2.0 and some of these new trends and some of these new behaviors and see a real opportunity?
I think the opportunity for businesses to really grab onto is not so much all of these millions of platforms that are out there, but fundamentally understand at their core that they have an ability to operationalize a social business. Can I just start that again?
Sure.
I think the opportunity is not so much all of the millions of tools, but our core opportunity is how do we actually operationalize social business? How do we become a more social business? And so for myself personally, I have over a couple of decades of HR and people experience. So when I think about it, I think about how do we actually, sorry, lost my train of thought again. Start again. Edit it. Okay, can you just ask the question?
Well, and you can even just start at that part.
Yeah.
Like when I think about social business.
Yeah. Okay.
You can kind of go from there.
For myself personally, because my background is not only sales but also HR and the people side of things, when I think about social business and I think about the amazing opportunities that we have, I think about what happens behind the firewall. How do we transform our cultures to become more social? So starting from that place of really looking at what is the culture that we have, how do we work, what are the undefined kind of rules of how we operate. And so at Enterprise Strategies, we actually have a 7-step sort of methodology that I'm launching tomorrow for the first time, but to really take people through this roadmap of how to operationalize social business.
And would you care to go through just the high level of what that roadmap looks like?
Absolutely. The changes methodology is actually a really interesting partnership between enterprise strategies and an organization out of the UK called Stop Think Social. And they've really come together to create this changes methodology, which can be applied locally to a small team or to an entire organization. And really, quite simply, the 7 steps are starting with culture, is starting with an understanding of what your current culture is. The second is hook. So for someone to actually change their behavior, for someone to change course and stop doing certain things and have a different mindset, which is our culture, what is the hook that's going to actually get them to believe that the change is compelling enough to make the difference? The third is assessment, and we don't spend enough time doing this. So looking at what our current capabilities are, looking at where we currently are from a maturity model standpoint in the social business journey. So that's the third thing. The fourth thing is, whether we're a team leader or whether we're the head of an organization, is when we're looking to make change, is how do we actually find and create a network of people in our organizations who are the influencers, who are the early adopters, who are the people who already get the pain points of what current business practice is, who are going to jump on board and really help you navigate these new waters. And so once we sort of have that, then we get to the place of G of changes, which is governance. So what is your roadmap? What is your structure? I think I heard today only 11% of social or of sales people in sales organizations actually have social media policy in place. So how do we actually set the governance and the roadmap for us to go forward? The next step in changes is really around execution. So now the table's set, you got your plate, you got your knife, your fork, your glass of wine, you've got everything, you're set, let's go, let's execute. How do we actually make this transformation happen? And then the piece as well that we tend to miss is why we added this S in changes, is story. So once we actually start doing things, we need to capture the stories. We need to capture the testimonials. We need to be able to tell the story in a compelling way so that the rest of the organization or the other team members really see what has changed. So it's not us as leaders or as organizational leaders or team leaders or whatever it is, that it's not us selling. It's basically that trusted advisor network that's basically saying, I did this changed, look at how amazing the results are, which then makes the change a little bit more lasting. So those 7 steps, so it's around culture, hook, assessment, network, governance, execute, and story.
Nice.
Which is show. Yeah.
So, something that occurs to me about that we actually had a client just recently who was saying, our real goal with this is to get the average reps in our organization up to, performing like our top reps. That's what we're really trying to do. Right now 10% are producing 60% of the revenue. And it seems like this model that you're talking about, and in the whole Sales 2.0, it can really be a part of that, of getting the culture ready so that the average and below average, what's the thing you always say, Nate, all the boats?
Raise all boats.
Raise all the boats to the same the same level.
I think what's been missing, when we talk about what we're talking about when we talk about social business transformation is something quite monumental. The social business revolution is by far the deepest and widest kind of chasm that we have entered into. We're all sort of digital immigrants in this area trying to figure it out. And I think what's happening is that there's a lot of content, but it's very thin. A lot of people saying, here's the top 10 things you need to do to become a more social business. Here's the top 10 most compelling reasons. There's a lot of fluff that's out there. And I think what leaders are missing who are in the business is show me how, show me the roadmap. What do I do differently? How do I actually take all these ideas, all of this thought, leadership, and move it to action? And the changes methodology is really that. It's that roadmap that's going to, if you follow these steps, and don't miss one, we're actually going to get you to be able to get to that last place around show, which is show the success, show the results. And I think when you take those really great stories of the people who do get it and who do perform, then all of a sudden when you have people who maybe aren't quite at that level of performance, when they're able to see what success looks like, then all of a sudden there's a different kind of inspiration. Okay, this is what the behavior looks like. This is what the results are. If I just act like that guy, if I just take what this guy does, then maybe I'll get my performance to this level.
So something I was talking about with somebody just a little earlier, I've been kind of playing with this idea. I've read some articles recently about, kind of the new relationship between the chief marketing officer and the chief information officer, and it's a new day because marketing's got to be driven by analytics. And, and then at this conference we're talking some about sales and marketing alignment and so I've been thinking about that triumvirate of IT, marketing, and sales. But when I was talking, I think it was Dave Brock earlier, we were talking about social, and it really started to occur to me that in some ways it's actually social that's the hub. So, you've got all these various ways to communicate with your customers in a new way and build brand, and as Gerhardt said, let the outside in, let the customers speak for themselves. And it sort of builds this bridge between sales and marketing. Is there any truth to that, do you think? Anything about social being the kind of, finally, the way to bring sales and marketing together?
I think when I think of, the future of social, and you talk about social media or social business, I believe very shortly, if we're not there already, it's not going to be about social business, social media. It's just business. It's just media. And so one of the things that's a great opportunity is that business, the new business, is really around this integration of people's skill sets. It's around integration of relationships. It's a different set of rules. It's not the siloed departments that we have. It's everyone figuring out, what do I bring to the table? How do I add value? How can I help someone else? There's all these sort of new code of values that we see in social business that very much mirror the larger social media world out there. And I think the opportunity is not so much about silos with sales and marketing sort of integrating, but it's HR and it's IT and it's the different levels in the organization. Now all of a sudden title is not so important. It's around, what are you contributing? So we're getting to a place now, I think, very quickly, where it's around measuring results, not managing people. And so if we're really clear on who the ultimate customer is and what the ultimate purpose of the organization, then really we're all headed in the same direction. And so a social business is really this hive where everyone plays a role into figuring out how they can best serve that ultimate customer.
Nice. That was great.
Probably way too long. I don't know if you can stop me.
I loved it. I loved that. So I'm looking at some of the topics that Larissa and I had said. Let's see. So we were talking about sales and marketing alignment and its impact on sales efficiency and productivity, which I really think that answer you just gave answers that to a great extent. But let's just take that one little step, how could a better alignment between sales and marketing really impact productivity on the front lines?
I'm trying to think of as much as possible a real example that I could give you. You know what, that's probably a harder one for me to answer because it's not really my background is not marketing.
All right, so let's take that one.
But I think if it's, tell me some of the other kind of questions that you maybe don't have enough
the other kind
answers
of categories were customer relationships and motivating, engaging reps. So
maybe motivating and engaging reps, we can talk a little bit about that, just about really, at its core, what it is that people need. They sort of need that, I need to know what's expected of me, I need to have access to the right tools and the right knowledge at the right time, like that's shifting a little bit. We can talk around that.
What you were just saying there was
okay.
yeah. So talk about some ways that you talk to your customers about how to motivate reps and what they really need.
Last night at dinner, we were talking about employee motivation and associate and rep motivation, and how do you actually tap into that inner fire. And at its core, I think what's happening is we have somewhere between 68 and 71% of our workforce across the country that is disengaged or apathetic about their work. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. But if you think about that, that's the way the visual that I have is almost 3/4 of our working population is walking around with, I have this image of just gray matter on their brain. If you were to take an MRI of their brain, a brain scan, you would see gray matter. And if you've ever seen an MRI of a brain all lit up with reds and yellows and oranges, that's what we're trying to get to, is how do you make sure that every single salesperson or sales rep, when they're out on a call, their brains are firing on all cylinders. How you get there from a core standpoint is a couple of things. Do I understand what's expected of me? Do I have the tools to do what I need to do? Do I have the information that I need when I need it at my fingertips? Do I know that it's good data? Do I know that it's relevant? Do I have the support from the people that I work with? If I take a risk, am I going to, get shot down a couple of pegs, or if I make a mistake, can I take a risk? So all of those things we carry with us in every single sales call and every single piece of the sales process. And so as sales leaders, I think the more that we can create the space for people to truly understand who the ultimate customer is and what our ultimate purpose is, and the more as leaders that we can equip our sales teams with the right data that they need at the right time, in the right format that they need, and that's intelligence, it's data, it's relationships internally. All of those things are going to truly help that person be their best and help you reach your goals.
Great. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Just so I don't run you over, I want to make sure to...
I wouldn't mind doing if it's okay with you guys, I wouldn't mind doing the changes methodology piece one more time, because it's actually show, not story. So if you end up saying it, I'm just launching it tomorrow.
Just do that one part.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Only just because if you put it on it's just being launched tomorrow, that would look really shitty if the last part is yeah.
Yeah, so you can even just start and with, the E is execute, and, and then the last part is show. So you could just do that part, because this guy's a wizard at editing all that together.
Okay, will that work? Just content-wise? Okay. So when we talk about the changes methodology, we talk about, the E, which is the table set and the knife and the fork and everything. Now it's time to go and execute. And once we actually execute, then we can move to the final stages in changes, which is around show. And we forget to do this. We forget to celebrate our success. We forget to share the stories in a number of different ways, whether it's testimonials from your reps or from stakeholders that have really gone through this journey with you, whether it's short videos, whether it's a presentation that you can share. We don't often do a good enough job sharing our successes. And so show is really around how do you take your story of what you've done so far in your business transformation, and how do you actually show the rest of the team, the rest of the organization, your success.
Nice.
Thank you.
Great. So the other thing I want to make sure we do, Larissa, we want to put some things together about this conference.
Yeah.
So what is it about this conference? What do you like about this conference, and why is the Sales 2.0 conference an important part of where things are going?
I think the Sales 2.0 conference is one of the most unique conferences that I have been to. It is you have a lot of people here, but the atmosphere is really intimate. And the way that the conference is designed, between the big sessions and the smaller sessions and the networking and the breaks, is that there is so much opportunity to not only be sitting in a chair and having someone sort of speak at you. It's not that kind of conference. It's people are tweeting, people are connecting over a coffee break. You can see people's heads together that didn't know each other 20 minutes prior, and they're sharing stories. They're using each other as sparring partners. They're interacting with vendors in a way that there's just a really good vibe, really good culture, and it sort of feels like everybody is on this journey together. There is sometimes a feeling at conferences that, the thought leaders who are presenting, we know everything and we're going to teach you. There's a lot of smart people in this conference. There's a lot of smart people attending this conference, and everybody feels to me like everybody's coming with a really positive attitude and a curiosity.
Nice. Great. So is there anything that I haven't asked that you feel like is really important to share around Sales 2.0 and social, or?
I don't know if you've talked about, and it's not so much Sales 2.0, but I think we talked about it a little bit over lunch, is often as professionals, we're sort of, when you talk about our own digital competency, our own what I call our digital IQ, we're scared to jump in. We're scared to say the wrong thing. We've got a reputation, and so it's just more of an advice, piece around trying something new and just jump in. So maybe something around that.
That'd be great.
Okay.
And just do one more time, just kind of, yeah, there you go. That's good.
One of the best pieces of advice that I ever got from someone that I worked with on my team when I was just getting started on the my own social media journey, is really just get out there and try things. There are so many different platforms. Start with one. Start with one tweet. Don't even start with a tweet. Start with opening an account and typing in some keywords and listening. Most people don't realize that you could actually spend an entire career on social media and never say a word. If you want to be more of a listener, if you want to use it as a source of news, that's totally fine. But too often as professionals, we stop ourselves from going there because we fear, what if I make a mistake? What if I say the wrong thing? What if I don't know the rules of the game? And this very same person kind of made me laugh because they said, you know what, Christine, it doesn't really matter because when you're just starting out, no one's listening to you. So if you make a mistake, it's okay. You plug the phone into the wall, but no one knows your number. And so that if I had any advice to sales leaders, to anybody in the business profession around social business, is just try something. Just pick one thing and start with 10 minutes a day. And you'll find your own uses for social media. You'll find your own way in the social business journey. And the first place is just to start and open an account.
Beautiful.
Nice. That was great.